Again, thanks to Brand Innovators for setting this up. Beautiful event. Thank you to my panel for joining. I'm excited about today. One of the reasons I come to CES is to learn. That's how I've grown in my career. You got to be humble. You don't really know anything, and that's the mindset I've always taken. And so I just can't wait to have these people and give you guys some of those tidbits and the wisdoms that I've been able to do with some of the pre-work we've done. A lot of experts here, so. We have a kind of wide range of expertise here. But today, what we're going to focus on is primarily innovation. So, what's working, what's new, what's next, and just a quick round of maybe some hand raisers here. Is anybody kind of tired of hearing about generalities and marketing speak like personalization and AI? Any hand raisers? Anybody kind of tired of that? Yeah. Okay. So today we actually have specific insights. We have specific examples. We're going to actually give you some wisdom to depart your day before you head out for cocktails or just go back to the room and decompress, if you will. So I'm joined here today by Amie, Brian, Ian, Jess, and Tim. And again, they carry a wide array of knowledge across innovation, growth capabilities, strategy, product development, commerce, you name it. So to start out, no one knows themselves like themselves. So I'm going to pass it over down the line here and have each one of them introduce. So you understand kind of their perspective, where they're coming from, what their background is, and how they can kind of tell you about some of the work they've been doing. So start you, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. My name is Brian Cordes. I oversee client partnerships at DIRECTV, and that includes really on the ad sales side. So working with brands and how they access DIRECTV inventory, working with clients, agencies, and that includes our out-of-home and political business as well.
Thanks. Hey, Drew, do you like the panel better or being interviewed?
I like this side because I get to learn. I don't hear myself talk.
You did a nice job.
Oh, thanks.
My name's Tim Finnigan. I work for a company called Verisk Marketing Solutions. We're a B2B company, mostly consumer insights, identity, data. I'm just happy to be here. I've got a side hustle at my company. I run our podcast. I've already got Amie. I've already asked Amie, put her on the spot. Drew.
Yeah, I know. Kidding me.
So then my other side hustle, I'm an adjunct professor and teach marketing management.
Hi, everyone. Amie, Owen. Thank you for joining us before happy hour. It's awesome to see more than one person here. I have been in the retail media space for over 20 years, and I created and continue to run the commerce practice at now Omnicom Media because we have just been acquired. I was originally IPG, where we learned and has followed the evolution of commerce, so I'll be representing that today in the panel. And again, thanks for having me.
Hi guys, I'm Jess Smith. I lead global growth transformation capabilities for Mars Snacking. I've been at Mars, I think this is my 12th year, and I lead a team that kind of sits at the intersection of brand, marketing, sales, innovation, data, and tech. So really bringing together how we collaborate differently, both internally with our agency partners, unleashing fun agentic, perhaps not personalized, I'm just kidding, but really unleashing creativity and also skilled collaboration. Thanks for having us today. Thanks for hanging out, especially that it's getting a little bit chilly. I had to borrow a coat myself, so thanks, guys.
Everyone was complimenting her on her coat. I'm Ian. I lead innovation and strategy team at Sensor Tower. Sensor Tower is the owner of Pathmatics. You may have heard of Pathmatics. We track digital data all across the internet. We basically see the entire digital economy. We deliver to our clients competitive intel on what their competitors are doing, whether it's related to digital advertising or how people are using their apps, and a whole slew of other data products that describe what's happening in the digital economy. In my role, I take all the data that does not get productized for our standard clients and sell that in one way or another in a bespoke consultative way to our clients. So I'm happy to talk to you all about what we do.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, Ian, that's a good segue. All things innovation. And as you can see, we have some pretty wide array of depth here of knowledge. Would like to kind of keep this into three parts. We're going to kick it off about innovation. How do you set up innovation, both structurally, how you can kind of go achieve it. We're going to get a little bit into market disruption. So if you think about innovation, it's going to be, how do you avoid some of those headwinds? How do you avoid what's the latest fad or trend that's not meaningful? And then speak a little bit about the future and kind of what next. So excited to hear what the panelists have to say. So to kick us off on that first note, just foundationally, I'd love to hear from the panel how your company, how your team, how you take an innovation mindset to your work every day. If you think about it, it's challenging. You have short-term business goals that you have to achieve, but you're also being pushed to kind of push past what's been done last year, right? I think all of us have those conversations with our bosses of, yeah, last year was last year, but next year's got to be kind of the next thing. So how do you push past that? How do you have that mindset? How do you set yourself up for success? And I think I might kick it back over to Ian, just knowing that that's literally like his some of his day-to-day job. So Ian, if you could talk to that, it'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm pretty lucky to work in tech at a time when the world of technology is changing so rapidly, so quickly, and to be in a company that's so agile, I think is really incredible. I have the innovation title in my name, but the company is incredibly innovative, soup to nuts. We have over 100 engineers who are building products and coming out with new ideas all the time. For us, what the innovation department does in particular is work directly with our clients on that innovation. So where our product teams and our engineering teams are the ones building the next big product, my team is the one that's out talking to our biggest clients and our most strategic clients to understand what do they need right now. The rest of the company might be on a 6, 12, 24 month development time cycle, but my clients need something next week to figure out how they're going to deal with some impulse coming in from the market. And so my team is designed to be able to move really quickly and put that together. And then based on those trends, what we hear from 3, 4, 5 clients, that's a pipeline into what might be a good new product for the whole company altogether. So it's about creating this kind of flywheel of having ideas come from clients, see them bubble up across multiple clients, see it be a need in the market, and then passing that on to the rest of the team to develop more fully.
Nice. So it sounds almost like structurally you're set up for success, just like organically. That's such a great mission to have.
It's a nice way to get good ideas,
yeah.
Right? Because it comes from people who also want to spend money on us to develop them.
Well, I know, Amie, you also have kind of the culture and that growth mindset as well.
Yeah, so from a commerce perspective, there's something new that happens every single day, so we can't be wrong, right? But you have to have the grit and the growth mindset to actually accept that. And so I was actually talking to you guys earlier today, and I was saying that we look for people that are self-sufficient. We look for people that are curious. We look for people that are okay with change, because commerce could be taught. And so you have all this wealth of knowledge, but it's changing on the dime. And so how do you become agile? And so the culture of what we build is to be curious, to ask questions, and to get those people in there to actually put their best foot forward and take a chance, and be risky and be able to accept the challenge of it's okay to be wrong, but also that it's going to change the next day, and bring that to the clientele, bring that to internal teams, and then also the process, because it's one to have the process, but you have to have the people that are acceptive of that process too. And so
is that almost like part of your hiring process, like one of the things you check off on your list, like when
I
you're
would
looking at talent?
take someone who doesn't have commerce background but is an eager go-getter, self-sufficient, over someone who might have commerce but is like, this is the way we do it and this is the way we've always done it, and that's it.
Nice. And Tim, I know you have the similar mindset. We all share it, right? But like we go about it different ways in terms of how do you continue to do it? How do you iterate? How do you evolve? Not only think about that mindset, but how are you always kind of chasing?
Right. I love this question because you can tie in a couple words: culture and innovation. And how we think about it is, we like this term, thoughts are free. So what we do is we have this innovation panel, which is made up of people from each different team. And someone who wants to come in and say, hey, I've got this idea, but it's got to be from the customer. So we start every meeting with, I have an idea because I was talking to a customer. And then we go from there, and they have to defend it. They have to be prepared in what that means. But it really sets up this mindset of culture that we're going to innovate because people want to be part of that meeting.
Yep.
And then the last piece of it, I don't know if you guys, like, I'm from Chicago, and we've got this thing called Second City, and there's this book called Yes and, where it's you want to make sure in this panel of innovation that you're not saying no, but you're saying yes. Let's talk more about that.
Nice, love it. And then speaking of the approach, Jess, have you touched on some of the on-demand work?
Yeah, of course. So at Mars, and I think there's a similar approach with all of you guys, whether it's coming from a customer or whether it's coming from your customers, we want to always start with a business problem. So first, identifying and really pulling into that business problem, prioritizing it, and then really centering the design of the solution around the consumer or associate, depending upon what we're attempting to solve. And from there, we want to make sure that we're thinking about this from a global scale. We're thinking about any of the local nuances that we might need to do or that we might need to consider. And one example that I can give you is a platform that we've launched, our Snacking AI platform. We launched a module on innovation specifically, so product innovation in fall of last year. We're really excited about it because this took us from an outsourced product model. So we'd spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, a couple of months. We'd get returned back to 50-page document with a needle in a haystack approach of choose your best guess of what maybe the best next innovation might be, to a collaborative platform that both internal associates are now at the helm, along with the collaboration of their partners to generate new product innovation ideas in a matter of moments and a few prompts.
That's cool. And Brian, I want to make sure we give some time for you. TV is just a crazy space right now. And so we think of innovation and just how that's evolved. Would love to talk about like your team and how you're thinking about innovation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at DirecTV, I think innovation has really been at the center of what we've been doing for 25 plus years. We launched Sunday Ticket with the NFL 25 years ago. We, were the first to put live TV in flight with JetBlue 20 plus years ago. We were on the forefront of addressable TV and building that marketplace. And I think that, but I think over the probably 5-6 years ago and internally, we felt like the innovation had stalled a little bit. We were going through various mergers and acquisitions, which, I think internally we're like, man, we feel like we got a little old and cold was the term kind of used. Everyone still thought you needed a satellite on your roof to watch DirecTV, which wasn't true, but we weren't bring that message to the consumer well enough. Yeah. And I think now, we're not old and cold, we're young and hot. And because you see that with our, I think with our media, our consumer messaging, and a lot of the moves we're making from an ad sales perspective, which we can talk about. But innovation's always been at the forefront, and it's an old adage of, evolve or die, right? We all have to change. We all have to evolve too, especially these days.
Who had young and hot on their bingo card?
That's why I'm here.
Cool. I was definitely stealing that somehow. Well, maybe we stick with you, Brian, because I think we talked about at the beginning, the jump off here, not just generalities and talking about approaches and how you can set the framework, but like specific examples. Like you guys do a lot of amazing work. I would love for you guys to share some of the recent success stories you've had in innovation, maybe take away some nuggets for the crowd here and some insights for what they can take home.
Yeah, sure. So our business, I would say for the last 10 years has really been built around, our best product was addressable TV. Yep. And we've seen that product have huge success over the years, but business was evolving, and it's still great for a lot of the bigger brands, the brands you saw on TV, but there were other brands who would come to us and say, I want to buy in, but they were smaller, more local. There was minimums associated with addressable TV. There was barriers to entry. So what we did is we enabled all of our inventory programmatically. We were the first MVPD to do that. I don't know if the others have even done it yet. They're going to, though, because it's working. We saw 2,000 new advertisers on DirecTV's platform last year because we lowered that barrier to entry and we enabled it programmatically. And now at the next innovation, what we're doing is really an out-of-home. DirecTV's been sitting on a huge commercial footprint for a long time. Most major airlines, most major hotels, 70,000 bars, restaurants, small businesses. but that's inventory we've never allowed brands to purchase specifically, and now we are. Lenovo, for example, bought every flight in and out of Las Vegas for CES, and the creative is specific to Las Vegas and CES. So you're sitting on the plane. It's really cool. So there's so many use cases with that, and it's exciting, I think, where we can take it.
Awesome. So hopefully some of you got some of those advertisements, and Brandon, you and I need to speak after for PepsiCo. We need to
Thank you.
get some
This is already worth it
here. Yeah. Tim, I know you have some products as well you're developing in the data and insight space. Love
Yeah,
to share.
yeah. Thanks, Drew. Look at it, you can think of it this way, and I want to be specific to give you guys some takeaway on sort of the successes. But as we think at Verisk on how we can innovate, and Jess and Amie, you talked about it, it's working with the customer. It's from a B2B side, easier to get customer feedback than a regular brand where you're trying to get a consumer. So but I will speak to B2B. Is you sort of these three stages of a product rollout. One is the pilot, then you've got soft launch, then you've got hard launch. And we really focus on that pilot is partnering with our customers on what they need. I think, Jess, you had talked about that. What's the problem? And it's much easier to work with a customer at that point. And you can do a couple of easy things. Offer them it for free. What's their problem? How we can solve it together. And now you've got them as an advocate versus someone that you're trying to sell to. And I've heard, I think all of you are one of the reasons you're at CES and Brand Innovators is to make that one-to-one connection, because now when someone's trying to sell you or you're working through a contract, we're friends, we're not adversaries. So real quick, one of the things that we're working on is that we're having this product about capturing IP addresses for, the connective tissue. And we worked with one of our best clients, Nielsen, and we went to them and saying, hey, how can we do this better? What do you need? And I think, Jess, you had talked about that. So it's really about that pilot stage and understanding what our customer needs are and going to market with it.
Love it. And back to our bingo word. So I know, Jess, you were working on some of the AI piece. You referred to it earlier, but we'd love to hear about more what you're doing in that space and just how you're creating some wins.
Yeah. So with the snacking platform AI, the innovation module that I mentioned earlier, a big one that we're super stoked about is we have our first AI generated actual product going into market. I can't tell you what it is, but it is a Skittles product. You'll flip over it. It's a Skittles product that's coming in UK in early 2026, but to launch that in fall and actually have that going into retailers early in 26 is huge for us as a manufacturer. And then to talk more about other types of products. So as I said, innovation has many flavors. We've also been working on, in the AI and agentic space, a DCOM next best action agent. So really trying to modify for key account managers, making it easier for them to know of the myriad of DCOM products that we have available on all these channels, which one do I need to touch first? Which one's going to give me the best return? Yep. We have that launching in pilot, back to Tim's phrase, coming in January this year. And then just at the cusp on January 1st, we also have been working on an agency ecosystem implementation with Publicis, which you guys have probably seen in the news a little bit. And within that launch, we've also launched a AI-generated content brief for marketing. So definitely all over the growth, platform, we're moving at full speed and doing everything we can to innovate as quickly as possible.
Wow. Can't wait to see what that turns out with Skittles. I think we're all waiting for that. Ian, speaking of retail, I know you've done a lot of exciting things there, both on the incrementality side, but also AI. There's just so much that you're getting into. So if you're going to help out with an example or two or some success like that as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that we kind of have a healthy mix of what is the hottest trend, working in AI, working in retail media, and then what are the bones that clients really need in order to move their business forward, which may not be as sexy, but are really, really important. For example, the concept of incrementality, being able to identify which channel is driving your incremental newest consumer, that's all data that we have access to. That's all the kinds of things that we hear from our clients. So I'll give you, one of our best success stories so far. A few years ago, we were working with, so we have ad data, all across the internet. A few years ago, several different clients came to us and said, it's great that you have all these ads coming from Walmart, coming from Target, coming from Best Buy, but we need to see when we're in those ads and when our competitors are in those ads, because we want to understand, that co-marketing place. The phrase retail media had not really been incepted, although of course trade marketing had been around for a long time. And so we developed these mechanisms to be able to deliver that information to 1, 2, 3 clients. And all of a sudden it was like, why are all these people asking for the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Maybe we should turn this into a product. And so we went and we scaled it up, and we did it for every ad coming out of Target, Walmart, Best Buy, and every other retailer. And it turned out we were first to market with retail media because of that. And now we have a full-fledged retail media product in our platform. And as far as I know, we're still the only one who can tell you which advertisers are advertising through the retailers. And we're about to come out with a similar product on retail search to understand who's searching for and what are people searching for, what keywords are the advertisers buying, and a whole slew of data around that. So we'll have the full retail media ecosystem covered.
Wow.
in that. And today that's live. We have many, many clients. They're all benefiting from it. And there was never a pilot because we had clients who were already asking us for it. And so that's been really successful. And we have several other really good ones, now coming down the pike.
Great. That's kind of finish us off here. I know, Amie, speaking of commerce, you have to be ahead of the game. So if it's AI or developing a new solution or finding the incrementality, we'd love for you to, give some examples as well of what you guys are working on, how you're staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit different than what we've all been talking about. It is more, I would say, like consumer facing.
Okay.
And so what we've been doing is a lot of internal workflow changes. And so for those that have been in this space forever, we've done it manually, right? So we've done a lot of Excel work, a lot of human error, a lot of how do I build this, and like a lot of pencil sharpening and things of that nature. And so what we've been doing with AI is talking to our clients and piloting a lot of how do we use that to replace some of what we've been doing by hand, essentially. And so 2 of our clients actually came to us and said, hey, there is a breadth and depth of digital. There's endless shelves.
Yep.
How do we actually help to update that on a daily basis, on a quarterly basis? We don't have enough people. There's too many retailers. There's too much going on. How do we do that? And so how do you actually create a workflow to understand and to update that almost in real time? And so we've been actually using AI to understand what's out there in the ecosystem. How do you actually update that and then make those changes? And it's been pretty successful, right? Because you have to be retail ready in the digital space in order to actually trigger a sale or to use agentic AI from a consumer experience. And so it all starts with the workflow. So we've been doing a lot of that. And then also behind the scenes, we've been looking at it from an operational standpoint too. And so from our standpoint, we've saved about 600 hours, like on any given, campaign or program, because we're actually using tools and technology and platforms instead of actually using Excel and having someone check it and filling out things manually. And so it's interesting, right? Because I'm sitting on, the stage with brands and media partners, and we want to fully embrace AI, but some of us aren't necessarily fully embracing AI, and we're kind of hesitant. But when we do embrace it, we see all of these changes, and so it's kind of in our blood to really just push the needle and to try these different things. And I wouldn't even call it a pilot; I would just say the new way of working. Yeah, and so that's what we've been really doing and really focusing on. How do we better our product as an agency, but also how do we better everyone else and bring them along the way?
Love it. Wow, that's really cool work. So to round us out, we have about 5 minutes left. We've talked about innovation. We've talked about the success stories. As we continue to innovate in this space, I think a lot of us, not only individually, but the companies we work for are a little bit reticent to lean in heavily. There's disruption, there's consumer behavior changes, there's landscape changes, there's pricing wars. There's so much disruption out there. Moving forward, if you think about the future, not like we're working on right now, but like maybe in 2 to 3 years, like if you see the future, if you will, where do you see those changes? How do you see to move past those disruptions, those challenges, find those opportunities? We'd just love to hear from you guys, like what you're already thinking about, not only for 26, but beyond. So maybe we start off with Tim, if you have some insight there with.
Yeah, real quick with disruption, it seems like we're in a time where we're not in control of our brand, so to speak, or like how people perceive us, especially on the B2B side. So we're really, and it's not right now, but it's,
Yeah.
I mean, we're leaning into like agentic AI and how we show up on Google searches, because it's not like, oh, let's look for an identity solution provider. It's more, what are the prompts? So we're really going into what are our customers asking in RFPs or RFIs, and incorporating that into sort of the search technology. And this is, we're really looking to a long term with this, rather than like, let's do a SAM campaign on this. It's really because we know people are doing research and they want that information.
Great. And then in terms of like speed to action, Amie, like is there a way that you guys, when you've set up these processes, but like pulling the trigger quickly, like how is that actually helping inform those future state kind of?
Yeah, so we're seeing changes now, but and I'm kind of trying to coin it, because every year at CES I coin a term for what the year will bring, and I don't know if it's organizational structure or cohesiveness or something along those lines. But we're seeing a lot of organizations realize that the way that they're set up, it might be a little bit archaic in the sense of how do you work together, right? And how do you create that speed and nimbleness to actually get things done? And so how do you actually change the structure of your organization? And so from our standpoint, we're seeing that, but I think it's going to take a few years to get us to where we need to be, fortunately or unfortunately. And in the commerce space alone, you have a creative team, you have a sales team, you have a media team, you have a brand team, you have, I don't know, some other team.
Yeah.
You have a product catalog team, you have
team.
all these different teams, and they all have to talk to each other. It's slowing down and everything becomes a bottleneck. And so I haven't coined it just yet, but I really feel like this is the year where everyone realizes that the simplification needs to happen, but the change needs to happen, and therefore it's whatever that term is. Someone please tell me.
Simplified change.
Organizational structure. I don't know what it is, but
Love it.
So I'll build on that.
Yeah, no, please do.
So within Mars, last year we had started going through our agency ecosystem changes. We've done a lot of work over the past 2 to 3 years within transformation to really break down barriers and become a one-demand organization. So sales, marketing, innovation, data, measurement, all of it, how it needs to come together with technology. However, within CPG, we also have to change how we're reaching consumers, because we have spent an enormous amount of our budgets on paid historically. And we know that that's not going to do it for the future generations. So where we're really shifting, and maybe it's not in the next 2 to 3 years, it's in the next year and a half, is really on more of a PepsiCo format. So paid, earned, shared, and own. What's really hard within our remit is that earned and impressions don't really do a whole lot for our CFO. So really trying to bridge that gap financially and figuring out the right KPIs in order to push an earned agenda and have an earned first mindset to build communities, to co-create that content with collaborators, with influencers, with doesn't matter, LMNOP, whoever the next channel or person is tomorrow. But the challenge that we have is really shifting from the historical only paid media first to really bringing retail into the fold for that full funnel and bringing SO along the way as well.
Yeah, and for us, I would just say it's about, embracing change. I mean, we know viewing habits are changing. DIRECTV is a distributor of linear television networks, and people are still watching a lot of live television, but they're watching streaming television. We all have Netflix, right?
Yep.
So, but rather than, bury our head in the sand and try to act like that's not happening, we're partnering with those companies. So on DIRECTV, a lot of those apps come preloaded. We are allowing you to, if you want to go to Thursday Night Football on Amazon, it's one click to get in. You don't have to come out. It's all within the ecosystem. So I think that re-aggregation of content, and it goes back to what Tim said, listen to the customer. They didn't like that don't know where things are, where you can find things, a million different apps. Now you can search on DIRECTV, and it'll bring you out of live TV into the app, all within the platform. So I think that's a big step forward in kind of listening to customers and reacting to what they need.
Yeah, really well said. All right, to bring us home, Ian, I know you could, it's like boiling the ocean for you, but future state, if you could elaborate on.
Yeah, so first I just want to say to Jess, I think we have things to talk about. I think, I think everyone up here has said the word agentic at some point in this last 30 minutes, and it's a word that I remember when I learned it, and it was less than a year ago. Then I went to Cannes, and people were already done talking about it. They were talking about MCPs, which was a brand new thing, and now I hear in the podcast sphere that MCPs are kind of like not cutting the mustard, and it's got to be ACPs, which is a whole new thing that I have to now look into. And so the pace of change, like I hear people say all the time, we've lived through this. If you're someone of my generation, you remember the .com, the .com era and how things changed so quickly, and now it's accelerated in such a way that's just changing so rapidly. And so we have to be able to grab a trend and play it out, but know that that trend is probably not going to be the future. Know that 6 months from now, we really don't know what it's all going to look like. And so how do we provide, from my point of view, how do I provide data to clients that's valuable to them while they are all in the same cesspool of insanity that we're all in, trying to figure out what the future is going to look like? And so I don't have the best answer to that, but I know that that's where I put a lot of my time.
Okay. Well, thank you, panel. That was great. I hope the audience, you got some specific examples, some insights. Thank you, Brand Innovators, again. This was a wonderful event, and hope you guys have a great night. And
Thank you.
See you next time.